I think they both have had to adjust. And I think they both have done a good job of understanding how important the other is, and both keeping their aggressiveness and functioning together. So, 45 days ago, I decided we're not in sync with each other. Now I think I've seen a lot of really good play.
Obviously, different players, but was there that adjustment period last year too? Because the buzz, so to speak, was that John's going to take that next step. Obviously, John Tonje emerged as your lead guy. I guess was there an adjustment period in that same regard?
I don't know if there was. I think the other thing you got to keep in mind, it's not just two players. It's the whole roster is basically new, other than Noel and JB and Jack. So last year, JT was coming into a set roster that had been together for 2 to 5 years. So I think that always makes the transition for the newcomer easier. And I said that last year. I thought our older guys, Klesmik, Crow, Gilmore, you name it, Ilver, Hodges, made it easier for Tonje, made the on-ramp shorter because there was so much already established here. So not only do this year we have to establish new roles, but we got 7 or 8 new seats that are new to the program. So completely different in terms of how the makeup of the team comes together. Because last year's, like I said, had a lot in place already, so it made it easier for JT to come in and get up to speed faster.
In alpha player personality, was there some point of this early this season that John just really needed to just take that, I guess?
Well, I think regardless, I think John needed to become more of an alpha. I think that's just a natural growth process. You understand, Nick's in year 5, John's in year 3, right? So there's a chronological difference there in terms of how much experience someone has, and Nick has a different personality. Nick's a little more outgoing. Nick's more outspoken. Nick's more wears his emotions on his sleeve more than what JB does. That's perfectly fine because Tonje didn't wear his emotions on his sleeve. He was very quiet and stoic, and Johnny Davis did. So they're all different. I think you just work on the chemistry together, and then really work on the chemistry time. We have to have reps together. We have to go through losing together. We have to figure out what everybody's about and how do we handle adversity, and how do we grow together. And they've done a good job of understanding everybody's strengths and trying to minimize everybody's weaknesses and then get better. That's the bottom line. We got to individually and collectively keep getting better.
JB obviously put a lot of effort in the offseason in terms of his body. How much are you seeing that maybe pay dividends now?
Yeah, he's been very, for the most part, other than that little stretch in mid-December, very consistent. And, I think his approach has been consistent. He works on his game. They all do. They're all in here. I checked my own son's Life 360, and he was in here yesterday. It was our off day, and he was here, working out. So I know they all do it when the coaches aren't, and that's what makes them really good players. You don't get to this level, regardless of your role, without really committing a lot of time on your own when nobody else is around. The coaches aren't begging you to come in. You get in on your own, and they all do that in different ways. Some do have an early morning routine, some have a late at night routine, but they all have a routine that they continue to put extra work in on their own.
Obviously, he's not the only one that's been able to do this, but with his ability to draw contact, kind of what do you attribute that to?
Yeah, it's experience. It's obviously physically being better. I think understanding that whole process that he went through, and that's a normal transformation that you figure out that what's important to put in your body based on what you want to get out of it, and he's committed to that from an eating standpoint and a diet standpoint. It's all little things. It's hydration, it's sleep patterns, it's your commitment to the weight room, changing your diet, as I mentioned, and then sticking to it. It's not an overnight. You don't microwave that, right? You have to really work at that and really be committed to that. And I think that all those things, he can play stronger. He's quicker. He's more explosive. He can play for longer stretches. Endurance is better. And everything that you would expect in terms of, you talk about improvement. It's not just, are you a better shooter? Are you a better ball handler? Improvement comes in a lot of different categories that you have to continue to up the ante, so to speak.
Greg, we've asked you a good amount about, Nolan's, like you talk about his strength and conditioning, obviously skill set this year, but where have you also seen some growth in terms of maybe like his verbal leadership, kind of some of that competitiveness and overall mentality this season?
Yeah, I've always thought, watching him back in high school, I thought he had an edge to him. There's deep inside, he could be a prick when he really wanted to be. And I think that now, much like Blackwell, with the physical transformation and maturity coming, that personality, that confidence is coming out. So I think those are all really good signs and evolutions and maturation that you would expect, right? It's not always guaranteed, but you would think when somebody can move more weight in the weight room, they can set personal records, they can really commit themselves to it and work at it. And then when you have the other natural talent with it, it starts to blossom and you have that mindset. I think the weight room just brings confidence. You gain so much confidence by upping, climbing the ladder, so to speak, in terms of what you can lift and the different things you can do and have success at. And Schneids does a phenomenal job with our guys in our weight room. He's at the cutting edge of techniques and different the science behind it. He's like, he might as well have a PhD behind his name, because he is on. People come to him across the country and what are we doing, and our players believe in him wholeheartedly. And that's when you got that, when they're eating out of his hands, so to speak, in terms of what they should be doing, you see the results when they get on the floor and the transformations and growths the guys make.
Coach, you've mentioned the fight that this group has shown as sort of an area of growth this season. Is there a point that stands out to you this season where you sort of saw that fight emerge, or is that something that comes just gradually over time?
Yeah, it's come gradually. I saw it in the second half of the Villanova game, second half in the overtime. I saw it at the second half of the Purdue game when we were down. We clawed it back to single digits. We had it for the UCLA game. The edge to us too. I mean, even though we had a flagrant foul at the end when Winter, didn't want to give up a layup, that showed a little edge. That's okay, right? That we're going to take this scoring on us personal, and then I think we've had it for the most part since. It's not always glowing in a 100-watt bulb all the time, but we're better than where we were, and that's something you're constantly chasing, and you're demanding that. And lineups have impacted that a little bit. I think we've got our competitors on the floor more consistently together, and they're becoming more comfortable with each other, which in some regards is that small ball lineup. It's a pretty feisty group. So it's you can cover up a lot of warts and mistakes when you play hard, and they understand how important that is to any team that wants to be successful. I don't care what level you're at, high school, junior high, small college. When you play hard, you can make a lot of good things happen.
Now that you've got a chance to watch the film, what stood out close the last couple games, or any common threads there?
You talking about Rutgers and Minnesota? Yeah, I mean, totally different. I mean, I thought first half against Rutgers we were terrific, both ends of the floor. Second half, I left here really frustrated and upset with how we had played, and we were not as aggressive as we needed to be. I thought we lost Zerno 2 or 3 times in screening actions that shouldn't happen. We got one in transition. One of the little guards got to the rim on us. But I look back at Rutgers played a heck of a lot better in the second half, and I think probably Rutgers played better than we played poorly. It was just that they were playing, and we were both scoring for a stretch there. Defense seemed to be optional for both of us. But I think things we got to tighten up, some ball screen stuff. We switched coverages in the first half, changed it up, and it worked. Both of them worked. We stayed more with some shocking in the second half, wanting to keep those little guards out of the paint, and it was more the threes that we did. We get stretched out, and trying to cover the roll in behind it. Like I said, we lost Zerno. In situation we helped off the same side. We played a screen wrong, let him reuse a screen. So just little things and we also quick shot. I thought at least 4 possessions we took shots that were highly contested early in the shot clock. those were you're up 25 and you're just hooping, and we got to snap ourselves out of that mindset that we're just hooping. There's a strategy to every possession, and so those things we talked about on what's today, Tuesday, Sunday, because we had yesterday off. So Sunday we went through the film and broke those things down and talked about how some of those quick shot possessions created momentum for them. We let them get off the hook by playing 8 seconds of defense, and we took a bad shot. And yeah, it doesn't have the impact when you're up 25, but if it's a 3-point game, you're probably not taking that shot. So just those things, let's clean up those things and stay aggressive, but be disciplined in what we're doing offensively too.
You guys are going to want to play with leads, and obviously that's something that's been a little bit newer.
That's a good thing to do, to play with a lead.
Yeah.
Any sport,
But what unique challenges come up when you're dealing with, I guess, a newer situation for you guys over these last couple games?
I don't know if it's a newer situation. It's just a matter of you don't play to the scoreboard, right? You perform every possession like it's your last possession, and you focus on the process of those possessions. And if you do that, the scoreboard takes care of itself. Where you get yourself in trouble is you look up and go, oh, I can relax. We're up 28. You can't function that way, and that's why we do points per possession in practice. So there's a constant accountability to what you're doing in every possession, and then if you do it well enough in a grouping of 5 or of 10, hey, you can see the results speak for themselves. But the best thing to do is play every possession like it's your last, and value every possession. And like you've heard me use the term mulligans. Like you don't have out of bounds balls, right? You can't hit the ball out of bounds. And using golf terminology, and it becomes a habit, right? You're really, as much as bad habits are what you're trying to avoid, you're trying to really establish and cement in good habits, and that starts with how you approach every possession and value that. And our older, experienced guys understand that. I think younger guys sometimes don't understand that because they just hasn't been the impact of every possession. Maybe they could get away with it wherever else they were. It didn't matter as much. Or in high school, you have enough talent, you can turn it on, turn it off. Can't turn it on, turn it off here at this level, because when you turn it off, you can't get it turned back on fast enough. So, and then you get into bad habits, right, of taking your foot off the gas. So don't take your foot off the gas by being disciplined in your approach, and every possession matters, every little detail matters, and then you stack those together, and then your lead will become bigger.
Well, with the quick shot example, I guess, is that an example of, I guess, taking your foot off the gas and not really?
I mean, that's out of a process. We don't do that in practice. We don't do that when it was 15 to 12, right? In the first media timeout, we're not doing that. If we're doing it, we're calling it out. It was quicker than what I thought, given we settled for a couple. Going through the film, it was more obvious than I thought, more noticeable, more. There's just more of them than I thought there were when I was watching it live. All good?
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks. But just how special has it been being a part of and seeing this group come together on the court over the past couple of weeks? I know you guys have been together since the start of the offseason, but especially on the court these last few weeks.
I think it feels good. It's just like it's fun, when you just in sync with each other, and you're just like winning games together. I mean, that's fun. Obviously, when you're losing, it's just not fun. And, I think we did a good job of just staying together when we lost our games, not pointing fingers, and just taking accountability. Like, we all got to be better together. We still got a lot of more work to do. So, just, it's starting to get fun and just starting to, get in sync with each other and learn, how each other, like the ball, how each other play on defense. And we're only going to get better from that.
In terms of the physical changes you made over the offseason, how much do you feel like you're maybe kind of reaping the benefits of that now?
I think, I think just my body feels better in general with the stretches of the games. Like last year, I think during like March Big Ten tournament time, that's when my body started, hurting a lot more. But right now, it feels amazing, and I think when it gets down that time, it's gonna feel even better.
Are you still sticking to the same no dairy, no sweets?
I haven't touched ice cream or cheese in I don't know how long.
The games, obviously, the last couple, you guys have let it slip a little bit. I guess going through the film, what stood out about some of the play that you guys had at the end of the games, and what can be improved there?
I think just staying aggressive. I mean, finishing games. Grinding out teams. I think we took some quick shots, things of that, and quick shots turn to outlets and then get buckets. So we just clean up on that stuff. We'll be just fine.
You've drawn a lot of contact this year. Kind of anything aside from your improved physicality that you feel like has helped with that?
No, I think that's the way I've been playing my whole life. To draw contact and go into guys. That's my game. So, yeah.
Anything that really stands out to you about Penn State, watching them on film?
Very good team. They took Michigan to the wire. I forgot who else to the wire, but they're a good team. They're well coached. They beat me twice, so I mean it's a big game for them, just like any other game. So very excited to go there and come out with the win.
What do you remember about your freshman year going there? Because you guys were on a winning streak then too.
Yeah, I just remember I don't know what we were ranked, but we were ranked high, and that's what you call a trap game. So yeah, I think they had two great guards with Ace Baldwin and Kanye Clary that really got off. And, it was on all of us. We couldn't stop them. But all credit to them. And then as an environment, yeah, it was pretty loud. They rushed the court after, so it was a pretty good environment. Expecting this to be even better.
Kind of a little different with being at Rec Hall instead of Rice Jordan. Kind of what are your thoughts on kind of playing in a kind of?
Oh, it's a great environment. Like I said, I don't know how many people assist, but I know it's a lot less than where they normally play at. So it's gonna be a great environment to play in.
Coach Gard had pointed to Villanova and Purdue as games where he's really seen the fight that he was looking for start to show up. Just how have you seen yourself, the rest of the guys, sort of respond to some of that adversity?
I think it starts with me, just taking the punch and motivate and encourage my team. Like, come on, keep fighting. Games not over. Like it's a lot of time in games. Even if you're down, 8 points in 2 minutes, that's a lot of time. It's a lot of time to come back. So just encouraging these guys to keep fighting. It's a lot of basketball to be playing. It's about runs. We're going to have our runs. They're going to have their runs. So, yeah.
I know adversity can be fuel, but when you guys bring that fight and you have win over Michigan or the buzzer beat over Minnesota, how encouraging is showing the fight and having some of the positive results to go along with it?
It's good. You're just reaping the benefit of just playing hard, and you're reaping the benefit of just not quitting. We can just quit and let the season get away from us, but no, we kept fighting, and it just starts in practice. We're just every single day just fighting in practice, just getting after it in practice, taking the L's in the chin, and just stay in the gym, keep working.
Thanks.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks,
it.
John. Appreciate it.